mud, veg,
ridiculous,
hens and storms. Live thunder winter won't stop us homesteading.
pretty treacherous.
Unideal.
Just one winter.
Hey hun, are we self-sufficient yet?
No. Our first fennel!
Yay! Okay, so we're a little ways off growing and raising everything ourselves.
But we have made a decent start, and the Irish climate gives us the opportunity to grow some sustenance throughout winter.
Well, when named storms aren't trying to ravage our crops.
Yeah. Or kill us.
It's been quite dramatic around here. I mean, there's only so much one can take of watching a digger destroy the land around this cottage, right? So, nice to do a bit of homesteading.
And that's the great thing about juggling a homestead and a house renovation, is that there's never a chance to be bored.
Well, that's what we tell ourselves anyway, isn't it? Yeah.
So there is one problem with all of this rain and the ponies stomping about in the areas where the water collects. It turns into an absolute bog. Yeah, we are already ankle deep in some of this place, so we can definitely do with a couple of land drains down here, and certainly some rocky paths for us to actually traverse this place without losing a shoe in the swamp. Definitely a pretty intense quagmire now. Getting pretty treacherous getting to this garden and these chickens now.
Let's go see the hens, shall we? So we come up here 2, 3 or more times every day to feed them, just spend time with them, clean any poke and poo out of their chicken coop. This hill is steep at the best of times, but the mud is so intense at the moment, and I'm about to get to the really deep bit, so let me just go through here and I'll carry on with whatever I was going to say. Oh my goodness, look, it's nearly to the top of my wellies. Oh no, this is what caravan would call unideal. Made it! And my welly stayed on.
So you can see that the path up the side of Hillary, it's got its stream back. So winter months this stream is pretty standard for us. We could do with a whole bunch of rock thrown down on this path. So that's the plan for access to our field for anyone that's interested in knowing. Scrape back any soil and throw down a good 6 inches plus of a rock onto the ground, get it compacted, and then hopefully this will form a roadway that we could actually traverse with anything other than just our 2 legs, quad bike, 4x4, tractor, all of the above. Pretty wet underfoot here, so this is definitely the beginnings of the stream here. See what carnage is going on in the garden. I had taken off the plant netting in preparation for the storm because I knew that it would just end up blowing off. So you can see it's all pinned down one side of the beds. Got the new garlic bread bed down the side there. All the hens are in their run, which is good. They can see me, they're expecting some treats. It's all fairly up together, not too much carnage. Happy with that. Not too bad considering it was the strongest storm of the year so far. I'll take that. Oh, a lot of standing water here. So this is where my land drain is. So I put in a land drain for the main potato bed there. After I'd finished preparing it, it basically turned into a swamp, as the lay of the land meant that all of the water was kind of congregating on top of the bed here. It'd done its job on normal rainfall up to now. It was able to dissipate some of the rain from the foot of the bed there, and able to get it to actually follow the path of the land drain, and kind of, it must have been pooling there. It wasn't really visible under normal rainfall conditions, but we had a pretty big deluge for this storm last night. So it's reached its maximum capacity, can't drain away anymore. It is what it is.
As I was saying, Caravan and I both just love spending time with the hens. I go up and see them every single morning, first thing, as soon as it is light enough for me to come up here. And I just love it. I get to see the sun coming up, the sky will start turning pink often, and just listening to their happy little noises as they're eating is really delightful. They're really productive hens as well. In the summer months there, we've been getting 8 eggs a day most days, and even now in the winter we've been getting anywhere between, we've had a couple of days where it was down to 3, but those have been few and far between. And actually we even had an 8-day at the end of November, 6 this morning. Really productive hens, which is a sign of happy, healthy hens, so that makes us happy. We eat a lot of eggs as a family actually anyway. I cook everything from scratch, we bake a lot, so they get used. And Caravan, I have to just feed him so much, and the man is like an incinerator, just because he's so active when he's not working at his day job. That's like the only time he sits down. It's good that he has his 9 to 5, because otherwise he wouldn't sit still for a minute. But what you don't see is when he's not like labouring on the renovation or on the homestead, he's going for a run, he's going for a swim in the loch. He's kayaking, he's running marathons, he's lifting weights. Yeah, so the man needs a lot of feeding. It's like having a teenage boy. So needless to say, we eat a lot of eggs, but we also been able to gift a lot of eggs to our friends and neighbours. So we haven't bought any eggs since they started laying, which must have been around April. So that's been really nice, especially because we know that they're very happy. They are pasture raised. We give them all organic feed. So they're really healthy eggs. They're delicious and super fresh. So yeah, makes us happy. It's a really cool part of homesteading, in my opinion. There you go. What are you doing? What are you doing, girl? Are you naughty? Yeah. Come on. Go on in. Cheeky. So we ferment don't stop it. We ferment their grain, so that's why it's wet. To make it go a bit further, but also it actually increases the nutritional content. It gives them that good bacteria. Come on, let me tip it out. So we have a system going of various different buckets, because it's 3 days that we soak it for. But stretches the grain a little bit further. You know, it's not cheap, the grain, because it's all organic, but they have access all the time. But they have access all the time to dried grain as well over here. And this thing, we've got this little shelter for them, somewhere for them to keep out of the wind. Having the hens has just created really nice little rhythm. It, you know, forces you up and out every morning, or me in particular. I really like that. See what we've got going on in here. Yay. So this has happened more times than I care to admit, but we used to have an egg basket to come up here. My mum bought us this really lovely wicker basket from the local market, and I felt very like country and twee coming up here with my egg basket. But the ponies are so interested, and they would always like bite it if you went past them, like nibble it, and it just essentially disintegrated. So we don't have the egg basket anymore. So sometimes I'll pop them in the feed bucket, and occasionally if there's only a few, I'll pop them in my coat pockets. And I think you know how that sometimes ends. So I'm trying to remember not to do that. It's just so easy to just slip them into your pocket and then forget that they're there and squish them. Hey, hen pens. That's right. Ooh. Let's just interrupt the drama of the storm for a minute for comment of the week. This week's comment is from Newton Render, and they said watching till the very last second is often the best moments ever. Thank you for making me smile. And for those of you who are regular viewers and you stay and watch to the end, you know why. It's one of my favourite parts to edit, if I'm honest. Thank you to everybody who offers us encouragement and wisdom and insight every week. You guys are the best. We've learned so much about lichen and borage since a recent video. And yeah, you continue to surprise and delight us. So thank you so much. Keep commenting, and maybe next week yours will be comment of the week. Now back to the storm. How's that wind working out for you?
Well, we're still here.
We're still here. Just one winter.
Just one winter.
Then. You're alive then.
Yeah, the roof on your cabin is moving in a scary amount.
Oh,
might need to go give it some emergency bracing.
No. You need help with that.
What are you going to do, sit on it?
What's that? Noise. I feel like I'm in Jurassic Park right now. Taking a storm. So, K-Man moved the van right up against the caravan last night in an attempt to act as a buffer for some of the wind. Worked a little bit, but a lot of the wind was coming up along here and just slapping the side of the caravan.
Ridiculous. I don't know about you, but I always find the best time to review your planting progress is just off the back of a named storm. So let's check it out. I think these are lamb's lettuce. I've been eating these with dinner, but they're really spicy. Leeks, they're not looking like they've got some particularly great growth on them. They've got some time yet. We have a bunch of onions in here which have been in the beds, wow, a long time now. 6+ months. So they're getting close to what should be their harvest time on paper, although I'm a bit dubious about their growth underneath the soil. Obviously all been blown over in the storm. Carrots, so these were pricked out from the main planting, which is over here. Once I'd thinned out the main plantings, I thought rather than throw away what was healthy growth, I'd just shove it in the soil in an opening and see what comes of it. And actually, the strange thing is, these pricked out carrots are actually faring better. They've got better growth on them than the main planting bed over there. 2 varieties, maybe 3 varieties of radish in here. These are looking good. They're not quite ready to harvest. We've got a German beer variety. We've got a white, turnip white type variety. So yeah, got a load of radish, which we're really looking forward to eating in here. Look at these fennel. Goodness me, look at that beauty. Something's been having a go at the base there. I think a bird's been digging up some worms, but I was not expecting anything from these because they kept on getting nipped by whatever birds saw them in the sacks. And I think in one of my previous videos I said I was kind of getting a little bit downbeat about the fennels that I'd successfully germinated and then transplanted into these reused compost bags because I didn't have any room in the bed, or if I did, I had read that fennel isn't a good companion plant for pretty much anything. I think it might release a competitive hormone or chemical into the soil to stop plant growth from surrounding plants. So off the back of that discovery, I thought it best to keep it separate, hence it went into these bags. So I don't know how large they're going to be, but there's going to be something. It's not an entirely wasted experiment. We've got a whole bunch of beetroot in here. This was our last planting of beetroot. Oh wow, that one's looking great. So they're nearly ready to harvest. Some late winter spinaches planted in here. They've been the favourites for the slugs. The slugs have been having probably the most of this spinach. We got our parsnips. These were sown spring. I'm hoping come Christmas they will be good to go. These were the cabbages. These were the first 2 cabbages that we've harvested, and look at the leaf that has re-sprouted from this existing plant. It's looking really healthy. And then these were the later planting cabbages, which are just about, so there's one coming to maturity there, there's a second coming to maturity there, there's some fledgling smaller ones there which don't look like they're doing so well. And then of course we've got our massively successful Swedes. Look at that, it's bigger than my hand. I wouldn't even be able to put both my hands around that. It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't know how they have flourished so successfully here. I'm not complaining because we really enjoy them. They're tasty. It's nearly the size of my waist. Ridiculous. We'll certainly have one with Christmas dinner. What was the nasturtium and hot marigold or calendula? They've obviously died off now. There was an asparagus here. That's probably died off by now. You see the thyme is doing really well. It's really happy here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 thyme bushes there. Look at them, they look so healthy. I'm so pleased with that. And then behind each one you can see a sage. They've gone a little bit leggy, grown really tall there. So the wild rockets obviously all died back, and the dill, it's all died back. So I'll be clearing that hopefully soon when I get a minute. But the asparagus, yeah, beautiful. So the asparagus is actually finished blooming, so I can probably cut that back now, ready for next year. Something has self-seeded here. That's the rocket. The wild rocket is self-seeded all over this bed. Look at this. Look at all of this. I don't actually want it to grow here. Rhubarb, that one is taken really well, despite being battered by the wind and nibbled by the birds quite a lot. Look at the parsley. The parsley is still going so strong. It's still happy to go. Oh yeah, this is it. So I didn't capture the results of the elephant garlic bed. So this was the last minute bed that I'd forgotten. I'd bought some elephant garlic from Martin at gardensforlife.ie. After planting the main garlic bed over here, the new main garlic bed that we had been slaving away for weeks and weeks, getting all of the wood chip and compost up here to build it, preparation for the garlic plant. After we built that, I realised the next day that actually I still had some elephant garlic to plant. And of course, being a perennial, I didn't want to put it in the same annual bed as the main garlic crop. So I thought I would start a kind of strip of perennials just next to the actual main beds here. So we've got the Dorperton kale, 1, 2, 3, 4, the elephant garlic. So I formed that new bed, and then, you know, I'll just carry on with new interesting perennials along this row. All in all, looking pretty good, pretty happy with it. Well, no, I'm over the moon with it. I've achieved more here than I would have ever imagined at the beginning of the year, so really pleased with how this little patch, how much pleasure and nutrition it's actually given us. So onwards and upwards. I need to spend a few hours up here between now and the year's end, tidy things up, top up some wood chip and harvest some tasty goods.
Welcome to our gym/utility storage area in the pink part of the house. Still pink inside, still pink outside. That is a question we've been getting a lot. Why did the sandblasters not take the pink off of the outside of this one area of the house? We'll be answering that in that Q&A that we've got coming up, which might be in 2 weeks' time. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Obviously, an important part of homesteading is not just the growing and raising of the food, but it is also the preservation and consumption of that food. Is the point, right? We have made this makeshift storage area in here. So we've got this freestanding freezer in here. In the smaller, darker, hence why I'm not filming in there, area around the back here, we also have a chest freezer and a freestanding tall fridge. Getting these things in place has been really instrumental to setting up the actual homesteading aspect of what we're doing here. And I think for our first year, we've preserved a fair amount. So we've got a variety of vegetables that were storage crops that are just here being stored because it's cold in here, it's not heated, so it acts as cold storage. So we've got a couple of cabbages over here, which look hideous on the outside, but I have peeled back the outer leaves and they're absolutely fine inside. I'm waiting for 2 more of our cabbages to harvest them, and then I'm going to do a big batch of sauerkraut all in one go to preserve that. Excited for that. I'm literally salivating at the thought. I'm obsessed with sauerkraut. So we've only grown a small handful of cabbages. Our first starts of cabbages this year were completely decimated by slugs, so not so successful in terms of the volume, but the actual cabbages that we have harvested, they've seemed pretty hard. I purposely wanted to store these for a good few months to see are they true to their storage title, and they seem to be. And then I don't know if you can see up here, we've got a load of Hessian bags on top of the freezer there where we're storing some of our root veg that we harvested. So we've got potatoes up there, We've still got some apples up there from our neighbours' trees. I think that's largely it now. We've eaten down most of the potatoes. I actually bought potatoes for the first time since we first started harvesting much earlier this year the other day, because I want to save these for Christmas. So we've got our Christmas potatoes up there. We've still got a lot of stuff in the ground, so we don't have a ton of root veg that we're storing because our only kitchen currently is in the caravan and it's teeny tiny. It can be a little bit stressful cooking there sometimes. So we haven't done a ton of preserving that's involved bottling, canning, pickling, jarring, that kind of thing. We've made the odd batch of things as we've gone along, but largely eaten them rather than storing them for later in the winter. So we've relied on freezing as our main preservation technique this year, just because it's so easy. But given that it's our first year, we had so many challenges setting up the beds. I think we've actually done pretty well. We've also been quite lucky, let me show you, with what we've been able to forage more than harvest as well. So in here we have quite a number of bags of preserved eggs. Is that eggs? That one's apple juice. Not to be mistaken. So actually, our neighbour has way more apple trees than he can eat off himself. We took a ton of his apples to a local harvest festival and they had an old-fashioned press and they pressed the juice for us, and so we gave him a load of the juice and we froze some of the juice. So we actually froze it in these large like ice cubes. So that's pretty cool. We've got more eggs being frozen in these boxes. So these create those large cube sizes. So that we freeze them first in here, then pop them out and then store them in those Ziploc bags. We've got a load of herbs that we preserved for the winter. So we've made herb oils. We have an absolute bounty. So I have a small hand, so it just gives you some sense of perspective, but bear in mind they're teeny tiny. But these are huge and they weigh an absolute ton. You should weigh them, but these are all blackberries that we harvested, and they were all wild all over our property. So that is really cool that we didn't actually have to do anything to benefit from that. And then here's all the eggs. So they actually, you can see they look a different colour. So we've got tons and tons of eggs to see us through in case our production tails off. And then in the other freezer we've just got some jars of things like pesto that we've made, that kind of thing. So Kayran wants to get making jams with the blackberries, so once we have a bit more of a kitchen set up we'll start doing some jam making. What else? We did do a taste test of the frozen eggs because we were like, will they be weird? We'd never eaten a frozen egg before, so I did a scrambled egg with one freshly picked freshly produced, laid, that's the word, that day. And then I did it side by side with one that was frozen and then defrosted, and I gave him to Kayvan and he could only just tell the texture was ever so slightly different, but really there was nothing in it. And certainly most people wouldn't notice. So in omelettes, scrambled eggs, I think they'll be absolutely great, and definitely in baking as well. Oh, and then the other thing that we have, so this is the big fridge that we have, and then on the top there we have some sloe gin that I can take no credit for. Kayvan did that. So we used to go foraging for sloe berries back when we lived in the UK. It was like a tradition. Every year we would go and try and pick the sloes, and then we would make sloe gin and give a bottle as a gift to my parents. And this year we picked, you saw us picking sloes. There's loads of sloes growing wild around here, all over our property and nearby as well. So we got enough to make a number of bottles of sloe gin. So some friends might be getting a little gift of that, which feels just really fun. And we got an Irish made gin as well to actually pair with it, which feels really good. So we're a bit of a ways from having one of those storage rooms and pantries that you see other homesteaders with, the kind that I drool over, where there's just shelves with lots of beautiful things and jars, chutneys and jams and preserves and pickles and ferments and things. We're quite a ways from that, but we have made a start, and it does feel like a bounty and a blessing that we have managed to stock our freezer with a number of delights. We've been able to gift things to friends. We've even got some more edible gifts to be giving away over Christmas and to be eating off of our land for Christmas dinner, at least part of it. It just feels really cool. I think we're doing pretty well first year of growing. What do you think?
Oh yeah, it's been a grand success.
Sounded sarcastic.
No, it has been a grand success.
Yeah, we decided we were going to start planting, growing straight away. We said that well, you said this year's just going to be an experiment.
It's been so successful, it's been more than an experiment. We've been able to like live off a bunch of the produce, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've got some enormous mutant Swedes.
The mutant Swedes we need to eat. Yeah, we can have them at Christmas dinner.
We've got 3 Swedes the size of our heads.
Bigger.
They're going to sustain us for months.
They're bigger. I mean, you have a small head. Bigger than my head even.
Yeah, bigger than a normal head.
You wanted to raise this year's turkey for Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
I'm normally the like, yeah, let's go on and figure out the details later one. And I was like, no, just no. Raising it would have been fine.
Processing it would have been a challenge.
Dispatching it, that's quite a lot for our first one.
We don't have the facilities.
Also, we weren't sure where we were going to be spending Christmas and the oven situation, and if we end up with some kind of enormous turkey, hey, if our turnips are anything to go by, we'd end up with a mutant turkey.
I'd happily have a turkey the size of our Swedes.
Yeah.
And, we need to focus our energies on actually having a home.
To eat turkey. Yeah. So the other cool thing about this climate, in addition to being able to still grow at this time, a lot of people have to shut down their gardens for winter. We don't have to. Is that it's relatively easy looking after animals as well, because we don't have like snow-covered ground for months and months. Yeah. Obviously, with the wind and the rain, we've had to do some extra things to take care of them, but largely speaking, it's fairly similar most of the year. So yeah, tell them what you did for the hens.
So when we had our freak sleet and snow, 0 Celsius is like the limit of comfort for the hens really, without any proper solid outbuilding for them to nest in. We've got our chicken tractor. The base is chicken wire, which is fine year round with the exception of 0 Celsius and below. Those 2 days where it was like -1, -2, they weren't particularly happy. So I was a little bit concerned, but I filled up some Kilner jars with boiling water, scattered them around their coop.
Like little hen hot water bottles.
Hen hot water bottles, yeah.
They seemed really happy then, didn't they?
They did, yeah. And I mean, they're still laying, so...
They're still laying, and that's the kind of biggest sign of how they're doing. Yeah. And even in the cold snap, we had some days with 8.
Yeah.
And there's only 8 of the laying hens.
We're giving them, well, I'm giving them some extra handfuls of treats to keep them...
He's a soft touch with those hens. He's always like finding extra things to take them, to pamper them.
Keep them well fed, keep them happy.
Yeah,
and,
well, they feed us, so,
exactly.
We want to keep them happy. We've had lots of questions about the ponies and some about the hens as well. We will be answering them. So we've got a fun video coming up over the festive period, answering some of the questions we get asked the most. So keep an eye out for that. Onwards and upwards. Get back on with the digging outside and making more mess. There's still quite a bit more mess to make, actually, isn't there?
Phase 1 of the digs is coming to an end, and we'll be moving on with phase 2 of the groundwork digs, which is the
geothermal heat pump.
Geothermal heat pump loop dig.
Ground source loops.
Yeah. So that
I've been paying attention.
Digger Man will be bringing along a bigger digger for that. Hopefully it won't take much involvement from me because it will be mostly just Digger Man and trench.
See, he can't help himself.
Yeah, we'll see.
Can't help himself meddling.
Yeah. Well, this is the beauty of the pipe that I was obsessing over, and I did the
in that previous video,
which is the PE100 RC spec pipe, which is
everyone remembers the PE100 RC spec pipe.
Exactly. And the beauty of it is it doesn't need to be pampered, right? It just needs to be. You need to dig a trench 1 meter deep, 1 meter wide, throw your pipe in, and then throw the spoilage that you just excavated back on top, and call it done. You shouldn't need my help. Hopefully. We'll see. But I mean, we're coming up to Christmas. Whether we start that phase 2 of that groundwork before Christmas is still up in the air at the minute.
Tune in and find out.
Yeah.
Along with us. We don't know either. See you next week, guys.
See you, folks.
Bye. You just look like a head on a stack of laundry. I just like jump back. You just carry on.
Deadlifts today. Can't do that to the back. Got some other nonsense to try and repeat.
We're supposed to be just chatting now. It's our thumbnail.